Scorpio is perhaps the most enigmatic zodiac sign because there are three animals associated with Scorpio. There is the scorpion, the eagle, and the snake. And each of these animals embodies a different aspect of the sign Scorpio. Scorpio rules mystery and hidden knowledge as well, making the sign difficult to comprehend. Scorpio rules the reproductive organs, and the reason that there are three animals associated with this sign is because there are essentially three ways in which one can use one's reproductive organs. If you are using your reproductive organs to produce new life with a partner, then you are generating new life. If you are using your reproductive organs just for the pleasure of having sexual intercourse, or worse, pleasure with oneself, a complete waste of the seed, then that is degenerative behavior. So the scorpion represents degenerative behavior. You sting yourself, you hurt yourself if you waste your reproductive organs and your reproductive faculties. Scorpio was known as a thief. Worse than wasting your seed, you are quite literally stealing from yourself if you act in a degenerate way. Now, generation is good. God said to be fruitful and multiply, and that is the snake. That is wise, like the snake, to use your reproductive organs in that way, with a monogamous partner for the purpose of reproduction. That is the snake. Now, the eagle represents regeneration. So those are the three forms of the word generation, which is all about the generative organs, which are your reproductive organs, right? You can be a degenerate, you can generate, or you can regenerate. The eagle rises above and tries to ascend toward the heavens, does the most godly things possible, which is to completely abstain from sexual intercourse. Many view this as raising the chrism. If you're in the esoteric communities, you likely have heard of raising the chrism, Christ consciousness, that sort of thing. So that is regenerative. I would highly recommend reading God Man, the Word Made Flesh by Dr. George Carey. He goes into that in detail in the book, the physiological aspects of the generative reproductive faculties. So I would highly recommend checking out God Man, the Word Made Flesh. There is excellent information about the sign of Scorpio in that book. Also, the Zodiac and the Salts of Salvation is incredible. There's a great chapter, one for each of the zodiac signs. The Scorpio chapter is filled with incredible scorpionic gravy. What I would like to do is take a look at Revelations chapter 9. Revelations chapter 9, I'll be reading the King James Version, is all about Scorpio. And you will see how in the Bible, Scorpio and the different ways in which one can use one's reproductive faculties is embedded in the Bible. So Revelations chapter 9, verse 1 begins, "And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit." So the fifth angel is Mars. Mars is the fifth orb in the circle of orbs from Earth. You get the moon, then Mercury, then Venus, then the sun. Number 5 is Mars. Mars rules Scorpio. Pluto is a farce. I will be releasing videos shortly, God willing, regarding the outer planets and how nonsensical they are. But Mars rules Scorpio. Revelations chapter 9, verse 2. "And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit." So when the sun enters the sign of Scorpio, it does get dark outside. Scorpio is fixed fall. Nothing feels more fall than Scorpio. Libra is the beginning of the fall, which is why Saturn exalts there, and Venus, the woman, Eve, rules Libra. But it's still, Libra, the beginning of the month, the beginning of the sign. It's not as fall as Scorpio. Whereas once the sun enters Scorpio, it is fall from beginning to end. It is cold. The sun is getting very weak in the sky in the northern hemisphere, or more accurately, the inner half of Earth. Dr. Inez Perry writes, the sign of Scorpio was also considered as the very gate of hell for the reason that it was the commencement of the 5 months of winter with its cold, wet, and very disagreeable weather, rendering it necessary to have fires to keep warm. Hence, all of the gods of winter were colored in red in imitation of fire and having dominion over the lower world. And then Revelations chapter 9, verse 3 continues. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power. So in Revelations chapter 9, verse 3, we see a direct reference to the scorpion. Verse 4, and it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. So, with Revelations chapter 9, verse 4, we can see a reference to raising the chrism, because raising the chrism allegedly affects your pineal gland, which is in the center of your forehead, and it is said to connect you with God. So, the fact that it talks about having the seal of God in their foreheads, if you properly use your reproductive organs to regenerate yourself, then Scorpio is used for good. And that's really what this sign is about. I mean, think about the worst things, like the worst crimes imaginable are typically sexual crimes, right? Um, as men of good moral character and women of good moral character, we abhor rape, we abhor incest, we abhor all these horrible things that despicable men and women do for the pure purpose of degenerative sexual pleasure. So the sting of the scorpion, the sexual faculties misused, can hurt you in the most extreme ways. We judge it harshly for a reason. That judgment is innate. We would not feel shame if it were not shameful to use your sexual faculties in that way. Shame comes from within. You can't shame somebody for something that is not shameful. It does not work. Shame must come from within, and a misuse of the sexual faculties is extremely shameful. You can think Epstein, you can think the grooming gangs in the UK, all these horrific things that, are in the cultural zeitgeist presently. P. Diddy, right? Awful stuff. And that's all degenerative behavior. Ironically, Diddy is a Scorpio, and he is a very, very terribly placed Scorpio, obviously. So, Revelations chapter 9, verse 4 does make a direct reference, in my humble opinion, to raising the chrism and a proper use of the sexual faculties, a regenerative and eagle like use of the faculties, if you will. Revelations chapter 9, verse 5. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man. So Scorpio is the harbinger, the beginning of the 5 months of winter. Revelations chapter 9, verse 5 makes a direct reference to that. Verse 6. And in those days shall men seek death and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. So, again, a misuse of your life. You may be begging for death, but then Scorpio rules regeneration, perhaps reincarnation. Me personally, I don't believe in death. I believe, our mortal coil is shuffled off and we move on to what is next. So if you're seeking death, you shall not find it because, in my opinion, you are not that which dies. I would recommend checking out Ken Wheeler. His analogy of the radio is incredible. We are the signal, not the radio. That's Ken Wheeler's analogy of the soul, and it's incredible. A radio plays music by picking up a signal. You can destroy the radio, but the signal is still there. Your body is the radio, but you are the signal, in my humble opinion. We'll find out one day, won't we? Revelations chapter 9, verse 7. And the shapes of the locust were like unto horses prepared unto battle, and on their heads were, as it were crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of men. And they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions. And they had breastplates, as if it were breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running into battle. So that was Revelations chapter 9, verses 7 through 9. And really, verse 9, more direct references to Mars, because Mars rules iron, Mars also rules battle. Revelation chapter 9, verse 10. And they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt men 5 months. Another reference to the 5 months of winter. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. So that is the sun when he is in those 5 months of winter, right? The sun is our best friend in summer because he allows crops to grow. He allows us to go outside, be productive. And during the 5 months of winter, the sun is not aiding us as much in the northern hemisphere. We can't grow things. So he is not as much of an ally to us in the winter months. Verse 12. One woe is past, and behold, there comes 2 woes more hereafter. And the 6th angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar which is before God, saying to the 6th angel, which had the trumpet, Loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. And the 4 angels were loose, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year, for to slay the 3rd part of men. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard the number of them. And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire, and of jacinth, and of brimstone. The heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire, and smoke, and brimstone. By these 3 was a 3rd part of men killed by the fire, and by the smoke, and by the brimstone, which issued out of their mouths. Now, those verses, in my opinion, are a reference to the months of the fall, right? They said that 1/3 of God's angels fell. 1/3 of the zodiac, the angles of the zodiac, are the fall. From Libra to the beginning of Capricorn is the fall. And that, in my opinion, is a direct reference to that. The last verses 19, 20, and 21 of Revelation chapter 9. For their power is in their mouth and in their tails. For their tails were like unto serpents, and had heads, and with them they do hurt. So again, it's a reference to the male reproductive organ, the serpent, the head. You can hurt yourself with a misuse of your lower head, right? People say that all the time. Oh, you're thinking with the wrong head, aren't you? Oh, what a mistake you made, thinking with the wrong head. Revelations chapter 9, verse 19 tells you, think with your upper head. Do not misuse your reproductive faculties. Verse 20. And the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues, yet repented, not the works of their hands, that they should worship devils and idols of gold, and silver, and brass, and stone, and of wood, which neither can see, nor hear, nor walk. Neither repented they of their murders, nor of their sorceries, nor of their fornication, nor of their thefts. So we have a direct reference in Revelation chapter 9, verse 21 to Mars ruling murder, fornication, which is the absolute misuse of your reproductive faculties, and it says, nor of their thefts. And again, when you spill the seed improperly, or if you're a woman, perhaps if seed is spilled into you improperly, it steals from you. It steals from you in a way, right? You're not even, it's worse than wasting it. You're stealing what could otherwise be a gift to yourself if you misuse your reproductive faculties in a degenerative way. And that is all about Scorpio, in my humble opinion, right? You can be a degenerate, you can couple up monogamously and generate, and then, God willing, you can rise above your animalistic impulses and regenerate. Now, I'm not one to tell you what to do with your chrism. That's between you and God. But you've probably heard all much of this from other sources. But that is why Scorpio is symbolized by three animals. The scorpion symbolizes degeneration. A misuse can poison you in a way. The snake symbolizes generation, right? The sine wave, the up and down, that is life, and the snake generates life. And then the eagle regenerates, rises above, soars towards the heaven, attempts to be closer to God. And that's some esoteric Scorpio knowledge. I hope you found it useful. God bless. Until next time.